Oh, hi folks. Here we are, October 27th. Trust everybody's well. I see in British Columbia we have a maximum of 6 people can visit in your house other than immediate family. Do you sense something could be coming down the pipe like's happening in New Zealand, Australia, France, and Italy, England? I see there's some major riots in France and Italy against the whole lockdown situation. But they say there's that lag time. What happens in Europe happens in the States and happens here. So let's hope that that doesn't sort of transpire. One of the things I wanted to talk about today was, it's really hard to explain. Especially someone who's been on the block a lot longer than some of these young people sort of throwing bottles and bricks and burning places. But when I look at journalists, don't you find it totally incredible that so many journalists all have the same talking points, whether they're in print or on social media or on the mainstream media television stations? Do you not find that incredible? That so many supposedly intelligent people can all toe the same line. The only thing that is more alarming than that is are the brainwashed viewers and readers who believe all that shit. It's interesting. Now again, there's a lot of people unemployed today, so they have more time to do to look around and dig and maybe do some research. And I can see people who are working, 12, 14 hours a day, 7 days a week, don't have time maybe to do that. But there's just really, is there an excuse for that? It's alarming. On the one hand, you have dumbass journalists and writers and reporters, and on the other hand you have dumbass readers and watchers, and they're believing all this garbage. I'm going to post a couple of links, just sort of Rex Murphy in the National Post in Canada wrote an article, and of course there's a lot of lefties on this paper as well, and they sort of one of his articles, they wanted him canned for writing. Here's journalists wanting another journalist canned for expressing his opinion. And this one is interesting because if you read his article and then go to the comments and just see the I don't know what I would call them, immature comments, brainwashed comments. You see, in Canada, and I guess most places now, the idea of debate and discussion is gone. The only time you can debate or have a discussion with most people now is if your train of thought and your views coincide with what they believe. If it doesn't, there's no question, there's no debate, there's no discussion. They just sort of lose their drawers and tie their knickers in a knot and don't know what the hell to do. They get angry, mad, and disappear. It's interesting. Shallow minds. Shallow minds. Another thing I've noticed, I'll put a link to this one as well, just a couple of links today. I see a group of people are planning that if Trump wins the election, they're storming the White House. Think about that. If Trump wins the election, they want him out, they're still storming the White House. Think about that. There's a group in Vancouver called Adbusters who actually organize shit like that. I'm not sure if they're involved in this one. I know they were planning organizing a situation back in September that never came to fruition. But think about it. These are people who believe in democracy, they believe in freedom, they're anti-racist, they're inclusive. And in an election, if they lose, they're not going to accept that. They're not going to accept that. And so I have to say, You know, and a lot of Canadians agree with these assholes. Fortunately, not in British Columbia. I mean, there are people who do not support the NDP party. And the Liberal leader is quitting, going to resign once they find a new leader. The Conservatives didn't bother to show up. And at last count, the Greens had three people elected. But nobody is going to go storm the legislature. Nobody's going to go storm and start protesting and burning cars and thrashing businesses and buildings. Maybe a lot of people think we're apathetic in Canada, but for the most part, so far, and we're putting that in quotation marks, so far, because we do have dumbasses here. We're in that illusion of democracy, we accept the results. And, you have to watch what the winners do. And of course, you try to hold their feet to the fire. You don't have to sort of sit on your hands and, if they're doing something totally out to lunch, totally extraordinary, we have a process that we can follow in a peaceful manner, but it's not tearing down buildings and statues and being a dumbass. Although we do have those clowns here. Mind you, they're on the Democratic side, so they're not tearing anything down right now. In the Saskatchewan election, the Saskatchewan party had almost a wipeout, and they're still waiting to count some mail-in ballots, but I think at last count it was 50 for the Saskatchewan party, 11 for the NDP. And I think that's one of the lowest numbers since 1938. I mean, the NDP, formerly the CCF party, was formed in Saskatchewan. And whether a lot of new NDP members realize it or not, I think many of them wouldn't know that because they don't study history, but and so far you don't see people marching in the streets and marching in Regina trying to burn down the legislature and do crazy things. So whoever these clowns are who are behind the storming the White House, I think it's time I think this time they will find out they aren't running into just rubber bullets. I mean, it's sort of crazy. But it's just a couple of thoughts. I'm finding it really crazy that so many journalists in Canada, Britain, Australia, New Zealand, the US are so one-sided. Some twit looks at one of the Three Stooges, whether it's Facebook, Twitter, or Google, who have sort of censored something. They figure, well, that must be wrong. That person must be an idiot because Facebook censored it, Twitter censored it. No, the Three Stooges carry on. It's sort of incredible. But again, for me, the more incredible thing is that so many people, whether it's in England, whether it's in New Zealand, whether it's in Australia, whether it's in US, or whether it's in Canada, believe that shit. And I think we're going to have a rude awakening. The people who believe that crap are. Because I think they're looking for just la la land and they ain't going to find it. Anyway, that's all for today. Take care. Bye for now. And remember, and only 6 in your house. Bye for now. See you tomorrow.
Yeah.